And a heartfelt welcome. And I'm hoping that you will join me, not just to learn all about awakening and cellular healing and how it's possible to participate in your own body's healing, but to also have an experience of befriending your body, getting a chance to listen to what your body has to tell you. One of the things that science has found that when you feel a strong emotion, and you repress it. You sweep it under the carpet, you deny it, you pretend it's not there, you just sweep it away and get on with your life. In the moment that you suppress that emotion, it releases into your bloodstream a quantifiable biochemistry, which will go to certain areas of your body, to certain cell receptors, and block those cells, rendering those cells incapable of communicating with the rest of the cells in the body. And if over time illness happens, obviously it happens where the cells are blocked. And conversely, what's also known to be true is that when we feel our emotions very openly and freely, naturally, like a child does, our cell receptors remain open. And so part of the huge gift in my own healing journey, here I was in the field of personal growth and alternative healing, wellness field, and had been my whole adult life certified in so many areas. And at the age of 39, the last thing I ever expected to have happen was to be diagnosed with this basketball-sized tumor. And it really sent me reeling because I felt like I was at the cutting edge of what was happening in the whole field of health, being, and healing. And I was walking my talk. And so it sent me on this, catapulted me literally on a not only a profound healing journey, but a spiritually liberating and awakening healing journey. And part of the gift of my own healing journey is I found this means to spontaneously, I was guided by grace, by life, to go on a journey inside the body and get access to these cell memories, and was guided to somehow go through a deep process of release and letting go, ultimately forgiveness, so that when new cells were born, they were born completely devoid, free from that old consciousness, that those old traumas, that old buried pain, that old programming. So literally in transmuting that, when new cells were born, the next generation of cells, that programming was not passed on to the next cell generation. So the next cell generation of cells were born as regenerative cells. I can remember when I went to go see the doctor and I received this diagnosis that I had this pelvic mass. She said to me, it probably started as one cell when you were 8 years old. And then that replicated into a second cell. And then about 6 weeks before I got in to see the doctor, my tummy went from being just a little bit puffy to being quite large. I looked like I was about 6 months pregnant, even though I knew that I wasn't. And so she said, over time, towards the end, the cell replication got aggressive. And then I finally got in to see her, and she said to me that I was bleeding internally and I needed to get into hospital that day and find out, is it benign, is it malignant? But she said, it's not going to matter. I won't be able to do it because I don't have the time, but you'll have to get another surgeon. It's got to be surgically removed. And I said to her, is there a chance you can buy me some time to see if I can heal it myself? And I said, I'm certified in so many areas of alternative health. I'm a master herbalist and I've studied medical hypnosis, a master NLP therapist, studied psychology and acupuncture, was a kinesiologist, iridologist. And so I ran the gamut of what was available, and I considered myself to be at the cutting edge of what was happening in the field of alternative medicine at that time. And She said, "Listen, Brandon, you came to me because I practice integrative medicine here and attached to this clinic. We put people on cleanses, we have guided visualization, we have acupuncture." And she went on and on listing all the things that they did. I prescribe herbs for people. And she said, if I thought you could go that route, it's the first route I would prescribe for you. But take a look at all these books up there above my head. She said, there's not a single case study of a woman who's been diagnosed with a mass as large as yours, who successfully healed herself. So though I may wish you well, you need to get real. You're going to need to get into the hospital today. We'll need to find out, is it malignant or benign? But it's not going to matter. You're going to need to have it surgically removed. And I said, listen, if through one of my aspects of training, if I can get the bleeding to stop over the next 3 days, how much time could you give me? And she said, if you're willing to do that, if you can get it to stop over the next 3 days, I can give you a month. But if you are not significantly healed in a month's time, you need to come back to me and it will need to be surgically removed. So I remember walking out of her clinic there in LA, and I had my best friend with me, and I was holding her hand, and my heart was thumping through the roof. My mind was going a million miles a minute. And as I stepped out into that LA sunshine, in front of me was a mimosa tree, something I hadn't even noticed going in. And I stopped and looked at this wondrous tree with golden blossoms that looked like golden rain. And it was as if time stopped. And I was just taken into this timeless moment where my heart started to slow down and my mind wound down. And I was absolutely arrested by the beauty of this tree. And in that timeless moment, out of nowhere, came waves of gratitude. Gratitude just to see the color yellow, to smell a fragrance I hadn't even noticed before. Gratitude to just be allowed to breathe, to have a body. And in that timeless moment, it's called the Sartori experience, a gut knowing arose that somehow I would be guided to heal. And even though I didn't have a clue how that would be, I was so grateful at that time in 1993 for all the amazing work going on in the field of cellular healing, and specifically at that time for what was going on with Dr. Deepak Chopra at that time. He was a medical doctor working as a chief surgeon general in a hospital in Boston, and he did a radical thing as a surgeon. He said, we know enough about what makes people ill and die. He said, I want to know what makes them heal against the odds without drugs or surgery or any kind of medical intervention. And he amassed hundreds and ultimately over time, thousands of case studies of people who had healed spontaneously. That's the medical term for it. And he could find that they only had two qualities in common. One was that through some act of grace or spontaneous event, they actually got access to this that he called the infinite intelligence, the part of you that's making your heart beat right now, and your eyes shine, and your hair grow. And the second thing they had in common was that through some act of grace or spontaneous event, they actually got access to these cell memories I was speaking about. And if somehow they released the programming, the consciousness that was stored there, then when new cells were born, the next generation of cells, they were born devoid of that old programming as new regenerative cells. Now, I was at the cutting edge of what was happening in that field. I'd even seen the case studies. But unless you have a method It's no more than a bunch of inspiration on a page. And that's where I stood as I was looking at that tree and this gut knowing somehow I would be guided to heal. And even though there wasn't a method out there, I had the knowing that somehow I would. And that was the gift of my own journey. And I did find a means for all of us to open into this infinite intelligence, to this huge divine healing potential that is your own essence. And to go on that journey inside the body, to really get access to specific traumas, cell memories, old things that took place where none of us were given a manual. How do you deal with these crises that happen and with these traumas that happened? And so all of us, it's natural when we feel that strong emotion and no one gave us a manual how to deal with it, we naturally shut down. And that biochemistry is released. And so I found this means for all of us to get access to what's stored inside your body, to really learn what it is your body's trying to communicate to you. Not only to uncover the cell memories, the traumas, the old buried pain, those issues you never wanted to look at, but to go through quite a profound process of release, letting go, and ultimately understanding, where your body's communicating the life lessons, the karmic lessons you were meant to learn through going through that trauma that you went through. And ultimately through a deep process of forgiveness. And that's when you let go of your whole story of pain, so that when new cells are born, they're born devoid of that. And so what's so beautiful about all this, the work over the next 30 years took place, and it evolved and it grew, and there are journey practitioners around the world. And of course, the journey became this massive international bestseller, and I've written 5 books since then. And right now in Israel, there are 3 hospitals where, let's say you've been diagnosed with heart disease, and after you've gotten your treatment, whatever medical treatment they give you, you're sent to a recovery center where what you're doing is the journey, where you get to the emotional root cause of what co-created that heart disease in the first place. And they're finding that they're getting almost miraculous results, where not only people are healing, but that heart disease is not returning. Same thing in a second hospital in the oncology floor, where you get whatever treatment they undergo, and they have a week-long recovery where they are getting to the emotional corollary of what co-created that cancer in the first place. Same thing with multiple sclerosis. And so again, they're getting to the emotional root cause, the cell memories, the programming that get passed on from one cell generation to the next, and clearing it and getting extraordinary results. As a matter of fact, documentary is being shot about how when people get to the emotional root cause and really clear it out, how the body is then capable, the infinite intelligence of your own body is capable of healing.